get giddy. If I pull it out, I get busy. See, forgetting I dance, but get jiggy.
What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Wortho, and we're back with another video. How are you guys doing today? You're doing good? That's what's up. Welcome back to the channel. Right now, we're about to react to Just Being Me with Sean Lew, Stress and Anxiety. This is their Casey Wright's podcast. If you haven't been checking out her podcast, check it out. It's very informative. You get to know a little bit more about her and other people that she has on her podcast. But this one, people have said, check this out. It has Sean Lew in it. So I'm like, all right, we'll check it out. But if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. I know 91.8% of you people that watch this video are not subscribed. So hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 12K. I appreciate the support. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to follow me on social media. Link in the description down below. My Instagram is right here. Wortho. Appreciate the follow. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video because this is an hour long. And let's get straight into it. Let's get it. Let's go.
Hi guys, what's up? It's Casey here, and welcome back to Just Being We, the podcast that's not really
Just
a podcast.
being we, not be.
But it's just more about us having a conversation and just being ourselves. Today, I brought a pillow with me.
Hey guys.
No, I brought some random stranger that I just found on the street again. It is, what's your name, mister?
My name is Sean Lew.
Wow, so nice to meet you.
You always find me on the same street too.
I know.
It's kind of crazy.
What a coincidence. And you
It's-
were available today?
I need to get off that street. Yeah.
This is Sean Lew.
Hello.
He is an incredible choreographer, dancer, chef, Chop Junior champion, World of Dance partner.
I'll take that one. I'll take that one. That one's
He's
a
a
win.
part of Sean and Casey. Just everything.
I love when they all
And-
include you.
Yeah. Chop Junior?
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. Sean Lew approved as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right,
the
right.
most important one.
That's the most valuable one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's top of your resume.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
what everyone knows me for. I get stopped on the streets just for that show. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Oh, ad. I really need to get ad blocker. Skip through this. We're going to have a lot of ads in this, but it's okay. Stress and anxiety.
You and everything, and honestly we could do like a billion episodes because there's so much to talk about.
There's
I feel like
too much to talk
too
about.
much like
Yeah.
this, however long this episode's going to be is not going to be enough.
It really isn't. I anticipate this, whatever comes out of this episode is like 2% of what we really want to get out of this.
Watch it be like 10 minutes and we're like, okay,
That was it.
we're done talking.
Well,
Just,
it's not even like it's not even like we try ending it. It's just like it's so quiet that we have to, and then we're
Yeah,
just like,
we're like cricket.
just end it.
Yeah.
No.
Just
It's-
slow down our voice.
It's the opposite, Casey.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's the opposite.
Well, I should probably introduce what this episode is.
Yeah, probably.
This episode is going to be talking about stress and anxiety.
Woo!
Woo! We love that. You know, because you go through it, right?
Do I?
We all go through
I don't
it.
know. Do I?
Do you? I don't. You seem pretty.
You seem pretty on it too.
Yeah, no, we're a mess.
Just a mess, but it's fine.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to talk about. But
Yes.
before we get into the deepness of that, how did we meet?
How do we meet?
Yeah.
Was it Showstopper? It was Showstopper.
Yeah. Showstoppers.
Yeah, Showstoppers, Anaheim.
Dance competition.
Dance competition, Disneyland.
Yeah.
And,
Do you remember the date? I'm going to quiz you on that.
Whoa.
Oh,
It was in May.
I remember.
It was May.
Yes.
May 12th.
No.
May, not May. Oh, no, May 21st, sorry.
No.
What? Oh, 23rd.
No.
Wait, what?
The 12 was in the year.
Well, no, I know it was 2012, but it wasn't May 12th? I
It's the 28th.
28th.
Yeah, because remember, like, World of Dance premiered on the 29th.
Oh, the 29th. Oh, right. Sorry. That's probably my brain.
I'm ashamed.
You know what it is?
I'm disappointed.
It's an excuse, but it's probably also my brain, like, trying to delete everything of World of Dance. So, like, once I got close to, like, that day, I was like, it's got to be away from the 28th. But no. Yeah, the 28th makes sense. I mean, I should know.
Don't worry, we'll edit that. So,
Yeah,
like,
thank you.
got the answer.
No, she didn't even edit it.
I'm like 21st, and it's like voiceovers to 28th. No. I just remember, like, the memory of remembering you. It was just funny because it was the first time that my parents, like, pushed me to take a picture with you.
Yeah.
Or just, like, with anyone in general. And usually they don't really care. Like, anyone that wasn't in my studio.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for some reason, my parents were like, go, take a picture. You guys take a picture together. And I remember your parents doing the same. And I mean, my parents were probably a little bit more enthusiastic. But, like, but then I just remember I was, like, I think I was just like this. And then you were like,
It was just
we were
awkward.
just both noticeably very awkward.
But, like, I was ripped.
You were ripped. You were ripped.
Like, dang.
And I'm still the same. But...
No.
I just remember from that day we would always cross paths with each other. And the funny thing is that even after a few years past that, we weren't really ever that close.
Yeah, we weren't around each other.
Like, we
as
weren't
often.
considered friends.
Yeah.
Like, we were considered maybe peers because we'd be with each other.
Yeah.
But, like, I wouldn't ever be like, oh my God, you want to, like, get some, like, some drinks or smoothies before class, you know? And I just know that, like, the universe kept constantly putting us in the same room.
Yeah.
To a point where I noticed you so much that I was so aware of who you were as a dancer, who you were as a person, who you were as an artist. And that's the main reason why, like, I approached you out of the blue for The Wrong Words. Mm-hmm. The first concert video.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was like a no-brainer. You know, it's kind of like it makes no sense why we weren't friends sooner,
Right.
or as close as we are now sooner. Mm-hmm. And then from there, just kind of like life took its course. We both just did the uncomfortable together, and I mean that's how I see it. You know.
I just remember, like, when we were like 2012 meeting each other for the first time. My first impression was being, number one, very intimidated because every single time, because every time we would compete against you guys, I mean, hence it was only at Showstoppers, because that's like the longest one that we went to. But I would always be like, dang, there's a guy in their group, they're gonna win. Because that's how, like, it was back then, where like at least like how we felt was like, oh dang it, because we didn't really have guys at our studio.
Right.
But like but then also like seeing you guys perform, I was like, dang it, we're gonna lose.
Wow, I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
And so I honestly always talk about how, like, what I would do to just go back to thinking like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Because, like, everything that you explained, when I was competing, I had this sort of, like, thought where, obviously we wanted to win, but it was never like, oh, I wanted to beat that person. It was just more sort of like, oh, did I do good enough to deserve gold medalist, you know? And I feel like everyone was like that as compared to now, obviously. It's like, everyone's comparing ourselves to each other and to other people. But, like, to think about, like, the type of competitiveness in those competitions when we were younger, I'm just like, oh, I miss that.
I miss it too.
Yeah.
But, like, again, I don't miss it.
I miss the memory.
Yeah, I think because, like, we have good memories. I always talk about that with, like, school too, because I didn't go to a public middle or high school.
Yeah.
So I have good memories of school. So I'm like, oh, I want to go back, but it's because I only have up till halfway through 6, and then I was homeschooled.
Yeah. See, I did 1 year of both middle and high school. I hated it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back.
I'm glad I didn't have those, like,
but I'm weird in that, you know, I'm weird in that way. Like, I'll literally have, like, lunch in the middle of, like, in that, like, empty locker room because I just choose to, and then I'll go back home complaining, like, I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
So, like, it's kind of my fault. But, like, then again, I just didn't miss it either.
Yeah.
I would, School's a whole nother episode for me, but anyways, I feel like that's in my perspective, like the bigger picture of how we met is just, it was kind of like nothing was forced, nothing was planned. If anything, it was just kind of like, even when World of Dance happened, we still had doubts. We weren't just like, oh, this feels right, let's do it. It was, yeah, I know. I mean, everyone knows about the call. I mean, if they don't, it's like, you know, like I called you, you left me on hold on your ceiling for like.
I like want to find those phone records and see how
long the call was. I'm pretty sure it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a good like 40 minutes. Like,
I was gonna say it was 2.5 hours. Because I just feel like we were on that phone for so long. Because I went up and down the stairs.
Yeah, I was on the phone for so long. You said, you looked at you.
No, I have a vivid memory of going up the stairs in my parents' house. My phone is on the floor and I'm laying down.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was laying down. My phone was here, and I was just like grabbing my head, being like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I want to do this," and just being the
like, how do I tell Sean?
Yeah, and like literally, I was on the verge of saying I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I went downstairs, and my mom was like, "You're doing it," and then I was like,
"Thanks, Laura."
But then it took me another like 20 minutes, and then I was like, you know what, it would be cool to do it. But again, I think it goes back to, because yeah, at that time we had danced together already and we were like closer than when we first met. I think I was still almost intimidated because I felt like, oh my god, I'm not like good enough, or like, is it gonna, like, you know, just my own like self-doubts were getting in the way of that.
I think that's why we worked well together, because I had the same perspective with you.
Yeah.
Like more so of like, I'm like, oh, Casey has done this, Casey has been part of that, and I was like, it's like, I don't know if I'm good enough for her to even say yes. That's why when you did put me on hold, I literally was looking.
Yes, put you on hold.
You put me on hold. You put me on hold longer than
like
you put me on hold longer than like a freaking T-Mobile agent, and I was
Whoa.
like, and the worst part was there was no holding music.
There was no music.
It was just silence.
Yeah.
Actually, if anything, it was your mom.
Hey,
like,
is that where the first song came from? Silence?
no, not the song. It was the inspiration. Yeah. It's how I felt in the call. Could you imagine? No, I remember your mom being like, "Hey, Sean," and I was like, "Hi, Laura." She's like, "Yeah, she's not here right now. She's thinking." I was like, I was like, okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I remember
passed
that.
my phone off to my family
No,
members.
yeah. You just left it there, but no, like I was saying, like I also had that same perspective where I'm just like, I don't know, like maybe I'm not good enough personally for her to convince her to do it, you know. And then, like I said, when you left, I remember I like looked at my mom, because she was right next to me, because she was there to like convince me to call you about it, and she was like, she looked at me as if like she felt bad for me, because I looked and I was just like, what did I say? And then my mom was just like, and I was just like, and I was like, I don't know what to say. So yeah, I think our level of expectations for each other is kind of what inspires us. Like, I think that there's two ways to go about it. Like, when you're intimidated when you're intimidated by someone, you can either take in a route where you use that as fuel to compete against them, or use that as fuel to inspire yourself. And I think that in our case, it was always the competitiveness of that natural state never happened between us. It was never like oh, I have to be better than you. It was more so of like, wow, that makes me want to be better. And I think that's why that's why even in the competition state of World of Dance, we fueled each other up, and there's a lot that we learned about each other, but it didn't interfere with anything. It didn't create these obstacles. It just opened up these like new doors for us as partners, and being like, okay, don't talk to her before we perform. Got it. You know? And it's like things
and
like
you
that.
were just like
I was
jumping around.
I was like, Casey, you got it. And she was just like
in my own zone.
Yeah. So yeah, it made me realize how much you learn about someone when you just see it in that way of intimidation, you know, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, like, one of the most like pivotal moments of me opening up even more, because I mean, you know, like, I did not talk even when we were doing the beginning of World of Dance. I didn't talk to you really. I was just kind of like sitting, nodding and agreeing, and then I would go back to the hotel room and be like, I don't know about this part.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
No, I remember there would be times when like we would be in rehearsal and like I would get back to the hotel room and then I would tell my mom, I was like, I don't know if I know about this part, and she's like, just tell him. And that's kind of like when I started to open up more, because like I was just so afraid, because like I respected you and like everything that you do is like so insanely incredible, and like I just felt like in my own head I was like, oh, my opinion is so bad, like that it doesn't even matter. But no, I ended up saying it.
You did no, but do you know how hard it was to pull it out of you though? It was almost like when I tried pulling it out of you, you acted like you had nothing.
Yeah.
So hearing you say this now is like you had something in your head to say out loud, and it was like, and I remember like in our at least first rehearsals, it would just be like, oh, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
And you know, you feel like, you know, and like it would be so consistent that I'd be like, wow, she really just has no thoughts on it, or like she really just likes it, or like, wow, I'm doing a great job, you know, whatever it is. And I know when I don't feel like I'm doing a great job myself, I would still ask you. And if you still go, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right, you know, and yeah, I just. That's,
but now I have too much opinion, and you're like, just stop. Just stop.
Honestly, it's no. You know what? It's now. It's great. Before it was definitely like. It was like you got so far off in the deep ends of both sides that now it's kind of been like this.
Yeah.
Where like, but there's still certain moments where like I'll like ask you what you think about something, you'd be like, yeah, and then after that I'll end up figuring out myself. I'm like, I don't like this part, and you'd be like, yeah. I didn't like it either. I'm like, well, God damn it, you made me think about it for 30 minutes until you finally told me. But
no, going back to my beginning point of what I was just saying.
Sorry.
No, it was my fault. I got into that.
Okay.
But one of the most like pivotal moments of me like actually starting to open up was, I don't know if you remember, but we were filming, what's it called? That one video.
Two?
No. Skyscraper.
Oh, shout out to Dietrich.
Hey, Dietrich.
You son of a.
But remember, we shot it once, and then like we went home, and then he called. I don't know if he called you, but he called me and was like, "I want to reshoot this." And
no, I don't remember.
Yeah, so he called me and he's like, "I want to reshoot this," and he's like, "The beginning, like, it was good when we were supposed to like get very emotional, but he was like, I feel like there's more, and I want to push there." I was like, okay. So then we went back and we reshot it, but that night, like, he was, you know, he took you and like talked to you.
Oh wait, the video that did come out, that was the reshoot, right?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
But like,
that.
I remember he took you and talked to you for like a good hour, and I was just like inside waiting, and then he took me and talked to me, and then after we shot, or like right before we shot that first thing of like me looking at the flame and stuff, he had us sit down, and like he was like, just talk. And
No. He said just look at each other.
Yeah.
He's like just stare at each other.
But then like when we were shooting like my coverage and then shooting your coverage, he had us talk off screen.
Oh yeah.
To get that, and it like after that shoot, it like opened up this whole other door, because we had never like gotten that vulnerable in front of each other. When I was younger, and it was around that time, I was terrible at opening up to people, and I never opened up to anybody.
Well, that was what's weird, was because I was in a situation where I was always around your family. So it was so hard for me to like grasp like you opening up to your family. Yeah. And then you were so good at switching back to like closing in once I like came in.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I'm like, oh, that's just how she is all the time. I was just like,
yeah.
I was like,
I think because at the time, like, my family was the only one who like saw me, and like, but when we did have that conversation, I think that opened up my mind to being like, I need to start doing this more often, because like
she constipated with Dietrich's?
Yeah. No, but that like it opened up my eyes to not being selfish with my own feelings, and like letting other people in, because the only way that they are going to know what you're thinking and what you're truly feeling is if like you let them.
Right.
But I just remember like ever since that day, it truly did like impact my life in a way where now like I don't know if you ever remember, but like even a year later, I was like, let's talk. And like we sat down on your couch and everything.
Oh yeah.
And then like we got like super deep and emotional. And then you're like, why didn't you just do that? I was
yeah.
like, you need to do this more often.
Yeah.
But I think that's why like we're so close, and always like whenever we do get back together and everything, it's so comfortable, and it doesn't feel awkward because
when we get back together. Huh? I'm joking.
we've been through so much, and we've seen the highs and lows of everything. And so
it's like family.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to see your sister for like half a year, and then you see them in the holidays and you just catch right back up.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel with you all the time. It's just kind of like, it's like I trust that no matter what happens, like, and this goes to people who question our partnership in the public eye. It's kind of like, we obviously started in a sense that everyone knew exactly what was happening from like start to end, but like to a certain point where we both matured individually, it's like now it's gotten so deep at a point where, like I said, there's so much roots in the trunk that, like, regardless of how long, how far, when, how, or whatever it is, like, we come back and it's just kind of like this is everything about me, this is everything about you. It's like, great, now we move on and pick a day to do another podcast episode. You know, but like it's as easy as that. And if anything, like what normally takes about like a month to catch up on, it's like it takes us like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It is really interesting, but that goes to show like how much that we've also witnessed in each other's lives personally, that a lot of people don't necessarily couldn't even imagine knowing about.
Yeah. And I think also, like, time in everything, another part that maybe I didn't realize at the time, but, like, it was probably, like, the start of kind of my anxiety. And I think my anxiety, it stems from, like, wanting to please people. And so I feel like I wasn't able to open up completely because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. So it was like I was getting anxious, like opening up because I didn't know how to at the time.
Yeah.
And I know, like, going through that whole process with you and, like, with World of Dance and everything that happened after that as well, like, we both got to see how we react in stressful situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also a learning curve of learning how to deal with that and how other people deal with it, because people deal with it in different ways.
Yeah.
But like how did it
how did that happen for me?
Yeah.
Or where does it stem for me?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this sounds so silly. I feel like I've been stressed my whole life.
You just were born and you're like, I'm stressed.
I'm not even kidding. I feel like when I look back on it, it's like, you know, stress comes in different forms, different emotions, different ways. And I feel like it just, at every age of my life, I just had a different form of stress, whether if that was like stressed about competition, I'm stressed about what I'm stressed. But it was always like I was stressed about my career. And I think that the biggest form of stress for me was when I was stressed about life.
Right.
Like, to me, like, you and I grew up in a very, very, very industry, social media, like just a very public life.
Yes.
And to be fair, I'm very, very grateful for that. Like, I think that we always talk about the era that we grew up in, and we were privileged enough to like experience, like, we could not trade that. We would never trade that for anything in the world.
Being able to like grow up with it instead of being born into it or
exactly.
It is a privilege.
We got so lucky. But like, because of that, I feel like it's always been like, oh, I'm so worried about dance this, dance that, career this, winning that, trophy that, up until like then I'm like I turn 18, and or even just it was like almost at the end of World of Dance, which I think I was like 17, and I started transitioning into the life where I'm like, wow, I have to start thinking about not just dance. And then the type of stress that I started experiencing and the type of anxiety. Well, I started with stress first because it's a little bit more subtle, but like, you know, well, it's a little bit more familiar.
Yeah.
Subtle is the worst word. It's a little, it's a little bit more familiar to me. And I was just like, wow. I remember I would have arguments with my mom. Even though then, like, when I have arguments with my mom, it's not about life. It's about like, oh, you didn't finish your homework and now you can't dance, but you want to dance, blah, blah, blah. It was like, it's still about dance. But then, like I said, as I got older, the arguments started becoming more about like, what are you gonna do in your life?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you
That is the most terrifying question.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you want to dance, you have to find a way to dance now. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and it was just like, I remember I had a really emotional conversation during COVID with my family, and I was like, it came, dude, COVID was like the worst year of my life, and I'm sure it was for
Bro. 2020, bro. When I tell you 2020, man, 2020 is one of those years, bro, where a lot of stuff just derailed for a lot of people, man. Like, just thinking about it now, like, bro, you ain't lying, bro. There was so much that I wanted to accomplish in 2020, but once COVID hit, everything just went. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so much I wanted to do with YouTube. Then once COVID hit, I couldn't do with YouTube with what I needed to do with YouTube. Because 2020 was like the year that I was like, yo, things are going to happen. They're falling into place. This is going to work out. This, that, and the third is going to happen. Like, and then COVID hit. And then everything just went south. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I completely understand what Sean is talking about, man. What?
a lot of people. But it was not only the worst year of my life, but it was like the stem for me where I was at the lowest of the low of my life. And like that came down to like the discovery of like anxiety attacks, pushing away my family, even like abusive food relationships, all these things like that. Like it just stemmed that year. And it just like, I feel like the way that it came about was just because now I'm stuck in my own bubble, and the bubble is reflective. So all I'm seeing are things that like what used to work now doesn't work. You know, like, oh, I can do this to distract myself. And it's like, shoot, that's taken away from me. I'm like, oh, then I'll just do this that to distract myself. I'm like, oh, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. Now I need to find something else that will distract me. And I took the worst ways to go about it, and it like hurt me physically, mentally. But then again, that was me telling myself, like, you're just stressed. You'll get over it. And I think that's also one of the most dangerous things about like being stressed out about things, is that like you tell yourself it's temporary. So like it'll pass by eventually.
Yeah.
So you just got to get through the stress, and you know it'll get better. But if you don't find the core of why it's happening soon, you're really just growing and feeding that stress instead. And then the next time you get stressed, it gets worse. And it gets worse, and it gets worse, and then you get anxiety and all these things like that. As opposed to like, you know, when my sister comes up to me in the middle of the night and I'm editing, and she's like, are you okay? Like, I'm fine, leave me alone. I'm like, I'm just working. As opposed to being like, no, I feel insane.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just trying to stay up because I need to finish this. And you know, it's like just facing it straight on from the beginning, I always feel like is the most uncomfortable, but it's also the most effective way to heal yourself and to get on a more less stressful direction. You know, I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the more you neglect it, the bigger it grows.
Yeah.
Whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
and then one day it just sneaks up behind you. And I think that's kind of what happened with me, is like I had never really, like, my story with like stress and anxiety, I don't think I ever really went through it like when I was younger. I feel like I didn't start to go through it until 2019. Like,
well, let me ask you this: when you were learning from all of the classes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Like, weren't you always, like, wasn't like, I mean, this is just from a fellow friend who, like, a fellow friend student, yeah, who took class next to you.
Yeah.
But like, you know how we're always like hoping that like we do good enough that
Yeah.
the teacher notices us. There's a level of stress there
Yeah.
that sits in us that, like you said, that you don't even notice.
Yeah.
And it's
I think especially for us and how we grew up with like the concept of class videos, there was always this sort of extra pressure from the outside, of comparison
Or
and
pleasing.
competitive, yes,
Yeah.
or pleasing. And for us, it was like, we're just taking class and it's getting captured. But to the outside eye, it's like, ooh, they messed up here. Ooh, so there was always, I think, that underlying sort of
Expectation.
pressure and expectation of, if I don't do good on this, like, I'm done for, you know, or something like that. So I think there was always some
I'm out of the industry.
but there's always some sort of stress there,
Yeah.
I guess, but it didn't affect me on the outside.
Right.
I think it affected me on the inside, as it would with anybody.
Right.
But I think it's so crazy how much worse my anxiety and stress has gotten in the past 4 years or so.
Yeah.
And like to the point where even in classes nowadays, I have full on anxiety panic attacks like right before I go out.
Why is that?
Wow.
I don't know. I think that's why. It's like I'm trying to figure out why it is, but I think because for the longest time also, and I still do to this day, but I had like body dysmorphia, and so I think the thought of like I'm going to be filmed and like I have to look at myself, it was like this scary thought. And like that part, like it's not as bad as it was in the past years, but I think just getting in front of like a camera like that, there's always just this sort of anxiety and pressure that I put on myself, because I don't know, it's just weird. Like I put the pressure on myself, even though like I know I'm the one who's putting these thoughts in my head, if that makes sense.
Well, let me tell you this. I think that with the way that you, like, I think there's so many ways to go about not getting rid of, like, decreasing the anxiety of, like, the way you feel going into classes. From what I'm hearing, I feel like trying to change those thoughts that you're giving yourself isn't what's going to help. Like, if, you know, like, because obviously the thing that is causing it is by you giving yourself these thoughts, right? And rather than seeing, like, okay, I need to tell myself better thoughts, it's more so of, like, it's almost the opposite, where you almost have to remind yourself, like, and this is actually something that I went through exactly. This is what I'm telling you, is because, like, I still have to remind myself this every day.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go through days where, like, I don't drink, but I don't know. Okay,
He's
whoa.
21.
That's the worst way to start. I don't
drink, but
I don't drink, but no, but I definitely, like I mentioned before, I had a very abusive relationship with food.
Yeah.
So there's certain like times where like I tap into that and I just like look at myself with disgust, and then I think there's no going back, and then after that, like, I don't want to leave the house, and I'm just like, God, I can't recover from this, or either that, or I have to kill myself with like working out and this and that, because, you know, like, people have seen me look better and people blah, blah, blah. And the one thing I would tell you that I'm still going through myself is that, like, the people who see us on camera, the people who like know us for who we are, they didn't stick around because of how we look.
Yeah.
Or they didn't stick around because of us inspiring them on their fitness journey, whatever it is. It's like I could be 40 pounds heavier. But if I were just as committed to my art and just as committed to my intention of inspiring someone through my dancing, through my acting, or through whatever art form I choose to do, they're going to come back for that, regardless of how I look, whatever that may be. And so I think when you come into class, it's like, it's a less of a matter of like, oh my God, I look different. I'm afraid that people are going to see me differently. But still, if anything, you don't only dance the same as the last time you stepped in class, you probably dance better than the last time you stepped in class, which means that regardless of how you look, people are always going to stick around because of what you do, not what you look like.
And see, like, I feel like, because this, how I was describing, I felt was more of kind of a after quarantine thing.
Yeah, the same, yeah.
Because I was still, like, recovering from my eating disorder and everything. So that really freaked me out, and that really messed me up terribly. And so going back to class after quarantine and nobody knowing about that,
it's so
that's
weird.
what freaked me out, was like people were gonna see me, and like those were the thoughts in my head. I don't have that now, like especially this year. I came into this year and like I have to say, because I can proudly say this because every beginning of the other years have been total crap, but this year, like I don't know, I grabbed that. I feel like me. And like,
that's a fact.
I can say, maybe I'll do it after this, but I haven't cried once this year so far.
Camera turns off.
I don't know what happened. But like in a
I cried yesterday.
disgustful way. That's not a word, but like
No, I get what you mean.
Like in the past, I would just cry because I was disgusted with myself, and like I feel like I let myself down, so I was letting other people down, and that is my biggest fear, is letting other people down because I feel bad about myself. But this year, like I came into it with a different mindset, and that mindset was just, again, to, like you said, it's not about, I have to practice what I preach, and I always preach about, it's like about who you are. And but I feel like I was almost a hypocrite in the past, where I didn't always practice that myself. But this year I came into it with that, and I'm truly going after things that scared me before, but now I'm like, you know what, I really am passionate about this. I'm gonna do it this year. And regardless of the outcome, because I know that people will be drawn to me for me, and the right people will be, and they'll stick around for that. And I think that's what creates that special bond and that special relationship for you to grow with your audience and with your craft, and be able to grow into who you want to be. So like I can like proudly say, I know, and it's hard for me to admit that, but like it's the first time I actually feel it authentically. So like when you say like it's about like people come back to you, like I wish I could have heard that like 2 years ago, because that wasn't where my head was at. But it's also hard when you feel like you're going through it alone, because obviously like no one wants to put everything on the internet, you know, because social media is a terrifying place sometimes. But yeah, it's just hard because I didn't allow other people to see that side of me, and that was just kind of building inside.
Can I?
Yes, Sean.
Sorry, no, something that you said like a few seconds ago was like, I think that's the point of this. Like, and I actually want to stress this more than anything. Like, I think this is super important to know, is that even if I were to tell you that 2 years ago, I bet you we would still be standing here in the same situation. You going through the same thing, because that's the danger of anxiety, is that there is no solution, there is no equation, there is no saying that can solve anything. Like, when people give you advice, when you hear quotes, when you see these on these inspirational words, like, they help in the moment, but who's to say that it still wouldn't take another 2 years for you to get to where you're at now? Like, there is no timeline of and the reason why I'm telling you the idea of, like, you know, why people stick around is because I'm saying that for myself as well. Like, it's so cool to hear you say that you're finally at a point where you can authentically be confident in yourself and feel like, you know where you're at in life, or at least you know who you are in life right now.
I have no idea where I'm at in life, but I know.
But at least who you are.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't actually. And I say that because I'm saying that to hold myself accountable. And I think that you and I have experienced very, very similar paths, in a sense where obviously when we talk about our mental problems or health problems or physical, whatever it is, it's very easy to understand. It's very easy to roll off of each other, in the sense where, like, yeah, I get it. Because if anything, we were both with each other in the beginning of it. And the coolest part, though, okay, I wouldn't say the coolest, but, like, the most admirable.
It's okay.
The most beautiful part about it all is that we could at least witness each other, seeing each other grow out of it. Because we know it's a lifelong battle.
Yeah.
Like, whatever we had gone through, personally, I don't think will ever leave us, but it doesn't necessarily mean it'll take over our entire life.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, even if it's at the end of our life, we've squashed it down and we have all this confidence, there's still a smidge left there, and it's
never gonna go away. But as long as we're aware, and as long as I feel like we're there for each other, and we're there for other people, like, it'll make life just that much easier.
Yeah. And I think about the part where you said it doesn't ever go away. I mean, even now, like, sitting here and talking, I'm getting anxious. Like, I'm starting to shake a little bit, because it is terrifying, like, being vulnerable in a different way. Like, I think it's easy to do it with people that you trust and, like, and everything, but when it comes to, like, actually putting it out there for others to view, it's a scary thing. And yeah, it's terrifying, although it is relieving and everything to be able to talk about this. And also, like, a lot of things that we did talk about, like, I'm happy we did, because again, every time I do one of these, or I talk with people, talking really helps me figure out exactly how I'm feeling. And sometimes I'll say something, I'm like, wow, that's how I actually feel.
Yeah.
And when you hear yourself say it out loud, it's a different story than keeping it in.
It's that self-discovery.
Yeah.
It's literally what I was saying about the fact that you're never going to find the answer if you wait on someone else to tell you.
Yeah.
You will actually truly discover something about yourself and heal when you yourself have discovered it.
Yeah.
Because anything is easier said than done. But for it to be actually done, we have to say it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we can't force it. And that's why hearing you talk about how you authentically feel like yourself this year, and you can confidently say that, and it's not forced, it's not fake, it's not for anyone, it's for yourself, and you're saying that like for the first time in a long time, you feel good in your own skin, and you're just you, and you love that. It's like that's like the dream, you know. And then and that doesn't necessarily mean like it's gonna that's how it is all the time.
Yeah.
But
definitely not linear, but
no,
at the moment.
But it does help for the people who are going through something like that.
Yeah.
Something similar as you, something similar as me, to hear you say something like that and be like, wow, it's possible to get there. Because like we've been there. We've been at our lowest, and it's like we felt like you can't get any higher. You can't get any. It doesn't get better. You know, it's like, damn, is this really how it's gonna like? Is this is this where it stops? You know, and then you're like, nope, it gets better. You know, like you can get there. So, yeah, I think it's really cool for you to. I also don't think there's nothing wrong with waiting till the time is right to share your demons. Like, people can wait.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, our lives aren't in control of anyone. Our lives are for ourselves, and we get to decide when and how and where and who experiences a part of our life.
Yeah.
You know, that's our decision. But regardless, as long as the day that you choose to share your life to someone is for the good intent, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're doing it to inspire people, and you're using it to give people hope. And I think that's all you can really do. And you shouldn't have to pressure yourself or push yourself to do any more. You know,
Right.
It's like you feeling good is doing good for other people.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm
Yeah.
telling you, because even this is coming from me experiencing that from
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? Like last week, or like a week or two ago, when we were just walking on the streets of NoHo, and you telling me about how this year feels so far really great. It's like for someone who was with you at the beginning of every year and only hearing, I hate this.
Yeah,
year.
I'm like,
You know, it's like,
or you're like, how are you
yeah,
feeling?
yeah,
And
like,
I'm like, I'm
just-
actually doing awful.
This sucks right now. And to come in and just to hear that, it's like, wow, that's really cool. So you are doing good. Like that's what I'm here to tell you. Yeah.
Good, you're here to just tell
That's
me
all
that.
I'm here to tell you. That's literally in the book. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's just saying.
ending is make sure Sean tells me I'm
Yeah.
doing great. You know. No, but yeah. So.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I really like how this is like ending and everything. But is there any other like final advice that you tell yourself or that you would give other people about anyone who does stress about the little things or go through anxiety and just anything that you would want to say?
I do actually. I have three things, and I say three because these are some of my recent discoveries. One, obviously, this is an everyday thing. Where there's love, there's life. So you find love, and that's life. You know, that's the point of life. And two, it's to receive blessings, you have to give blessings. It's one of those things where it's like the whole point of life is to be kind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why not be kind? Like, it's kind of funny if you try to answer why not be kind.
Yeah.
It sounds very unreasonable. It kind of sounds like stupid.
Yeah, it sounds very, very childish. I don't know, maybe people want to be childish. And the last thing to me is like, if it makes you happy, then it doesn't have to make sense. You know? Like,
I like that.
yeah, like if it makes you happy, like, you don't have to convince people that it makes sense. Because it just makes you happy, and you should just enjoy life, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think the things that I have to remind myself sometimes is like, there are people going through so much worse than I am, and I am so lucky to be able to live the life that I have now. And if there's a way that I could help other people have a better life or see things in a better life, including
Myself,
Yeah.
like, what else would I be wanting to do? You know, and that goes back to being stressed and having those anxiety. Like sometimes it's hard to escape, but sometimes it's you can avoid it just by the brink before you go into that state. And if I can find a way to just tell myself, like, you have one life, you have people that love you, you know, you have people who are inspired by you, you have people that you've touched, you've done things that you have been proud of. It's like, just focus on that. Focus on the big picture of what makes you happy. And I'm saying all this not because I'm like, oh, I'm the master at this. I'm saying all this because it's what I go through every day.
Yeah. It's
like,
a reminder.
It's a constant reminder.
Yeah.
Like I come in here, I even got a little stressed being in this room. No, seriously. Like
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you can tell I was so confident in the beginning of the podcast.
I know,
But I was literally
moving
like,
all over
I'm
the
like,
place.
are you going or not?
Yeah.
You know, but it's just the natural state of who we are, and I think the toughest challenge for the both of us is that like it's lasted so long for us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna take double or triple to reverse it.
Yeah.
And it's just something we go through every day, but just little reminders now and then.
Yeah.
Just try to be happy.
I think it's also just important, and like as cheesy as it sounds and as like much as I say it, it's like you aren't alone in what you're going through, because so many people could be going through the same thing. It's just it's hard to open up about it, but it gets easier when you're able to talk about it, even if it's to people that you trust.
Yeah.
And plus, that's what makes people become closer to one another, is like when you're able to let somebody in
Yeah.
to you and not always feel like, oh, I can't tell them this because like I don't want to burden them with this. If anything, it's like, no, tell me. It's so much easier when we're able to just like tell us how you feel, because there's no judgment, and especially with the people that you trust, there's never going to be judgment. And if there is, cut those ties off. That's not a good thing.
Right.
But there really shouldn't be judgment in how you feel, and no one should ever make you feel like your feelings aren't valid. Yeah. And like I said, this whole conversation, I was anxious throughout the entire thing. And that just goes to show is like it comes in different forms and in different waves too. Sometimes it's super intense. Sometimes it's as little as just sitting here twisting my ring, but it doesn't matter. It's completely valid in what you're going through and how you choose to cope with it, and in your own time.
Yeah.
I think timing is very important, and don't do anything unless it feels right for you.
Yeah.
And never do something just for somebody else. Like make sure you 100% feel it's right within yourself.
Yeah, do what's right for you.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the biggest toxic things that I grew up doing in these past few years is like, I'm a very gullible person. So if I see something,
I thought you said global.
I'm a very global
Very
person.
global person.
Mr. Worldwide. You know,
No, yeah.
I'm a very, very gullible person. And so if I see something and they're like, you can't do this and you can't do that, I'm like, cool. I'm not doing that at all.
Yeah.
And you learn, you're like, well, and then you beat yourself up when you do it.
Yep.
And then after that, you're like, but it's not, like now, it's like,
Yeah.
and that was what I was saying earlier, is like, if something doesn't feel right, it's like, there's a difference between a lifestyle and a choice. It's like, you can choose to do this because of this, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's your life.
Yeah.
It's like, you choose to go out, but you don't go out every day, so don't beat yourself up for going out.
Yeah.
Like, go back to just, and don't go so far to the extreme that it's like,
Yeah.
like that you have to start doing all these things just to make up for that. It's like, no. If that's what makes you happy, and that's what's for you, then that's what's for you. Everyone has different routines.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this earlier, like, we used to be in this workout phase where, like, we work out so intensely because that was the best way. Like, I used to do, like, an ab routine every night. I would brag being like, and I make my dad do it so that way, like, I can tell my dad, I'm like, Dad, I do it right? And he's like, yeah, he does it. But, like, like 200, and it's just like, and then maybe at the time, because we were younger and had more energy, that worked for me. But then I got older, and then I didn't want to get out of bed, and so I ended up waking later, and like because of the thought of doing that, and I was like, this isn't for me anymore, and at first I beat myself up for it, but I'm like, there's other ways, there's other ways to get active, other ways to be happy, other ways to get healthy, and it literally is just what you're saying, do what's right for yourself, and you are different from everyone. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own choices and own ways to live life. You shouldn't have to compare or refer yourself to someone that you think is better. It's like maybe the person that you look up to isn't healthy. Personally, whatever that may be. It's like we all go through our own battles. So just focus on
what makes you feel good on the
inside,
and then on the outside.
and just just go from there.
Yeah.
It's but then again, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
A lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
Like even me being aware of all this.
Yeah. No, it's a learning thing every single day, and like again, it never quite leaves you, and you're always discovering new things about how it's triggered or
It's a
certain
bitch.
things. Yeah. It's just
It's the moment I'm just like, wow,
yeah, it just hits you.
Yeah.
But that's life, and I'm just really glad that you were able to share your advice and like also what you go through and everything. And honestly, like I'm glad that we did this topic together, because I mean, both of us have dealt with a lot of stress and anxiety, but maybe have
Facts.
never really spoke on it too much, at least like to each other.
That's because we both experienced it in real time together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we never actually like.
It was never like a spoken thing. It was just like we
It's just like,
viewed
damn,
it
she's
like
stressed.
like
She's
up
stressed.
close and be
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe
Well,
I should step back right now.
Ironic thing is everything that we said right now,
Yeah,
we were both there.
yeah,
So it's like we were.
yeah,
I remember you called me during quarantine. At that time, you were worried about me, and I called you
Yeah.
multiple times before that, and also pulled you aside. And it's like we're really just looking back at it and seeing how much growth it's been for us,
yeah.
Right.
and how much more there is to be done. But we were both there for it all, which is kind of
Yeah.
insane. You know, it's
And we're old now.
I'm old. I can drink. You know, I drink all day,
Hey,
every
I'll
day.
be 21 this year.
Oh, which means you'll drink?
No.
That's right. And touche. No, I'm kidding.
Fancy.
And speaking of anxiety ring, where do you get this anxiety ring?
Oh my God!
'Cause
I'm so
I-
glad you asked.
Yeah. What do
You
you?
know?
Because your boy needs one of those. You know.
It's from Weirdo Apparel.
Oh no way! That's yours.
Yeah.
Oh my
How'd
god.
you know? Oh my God.
I didn't.
Wow.
I just thought it was purely really cool.
Link in bio, in description.
Ambassador. I'm kidding.
I hate it.
Oh.
Well, anyway, thank you for again coming on and sharing all of that, and I hope I didn't
course.
stress you out too much.
I mean, you always do, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is
That's just never gonna
different
leave.
type of stress.
Different type of
different type of stress. No, I'm glad that people get to see a piece of our conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned in the beginning, like this isn't anything out of the ordinary for us.
Yeah.
I think this is literally another like Friday for us.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah,
you know?
literally.
It's like it's just, but for people to at least understand what goes on behind the curtains a little bit,
Yeah.
it
makes them see us as people. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to see that, and people can make assumptions because what they see online, it's not the whole picture. And so like when you're able to actually, like, again, you don't owe anything to anybody, but when
Yeah.
people are actually able to see, oh, they're just two normal humans going through the same stuff that any other humans have gone through.
Okay, I wouldn't say normal. We're definitely
Well, like,
normal, but
as
we
normal
are,
as we can
we
be.
try to be normal.
You know,
but
it gives a different perspective into, oh, there's lives behind the username.
shoot, dang, there are lies. You had to do the username.
That's deep. That's deep.
There are
Hey,
lies.
that's
There
deep.
are, and
Just
it's so
lies
true.
behind the username.
There is a
That's
life
deep.
behind Sean Lew 1125.
Hey! Let me just say this too. He's on TikTok. And number one, you didn't tell me about that.
I didn't tell anybody about that.
I know, but then it popped up in my feed and it was like people you may know or people in your contacts.
Stupid
And
contact
I,
link.
I let it go for a little bit. I was like, okay, and then I kept seeing it, and then I texted you one day and was like, huh, so you're on TikTok? TikTok?
You're on TikTok, aren't ya?
on TikTok now.
Shun. You're on
But
TikTok.
I did the first TikTok with you, like I think it was when we were doing value, and you were like, I got a TikTok dance.
No, it wasn't. It was.
Well, we did the silence one.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like you're like I got a TikTok, and it was that
Oh no! It was the Kid Cudi song.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I didn't say it was a TikTok dance. I just said that I had a dance.
Yeah, and I was like, let's film a
because
TikTok.
you know me, like every time, or at least before, or no, still now, like I don't make TikTok dances for people to do, which means that I don't make TikTok dance because I feel like TikTok.
But you're Sean Lew, so like people are obviously gonna do it.
That's not the case, right? Because you would think that like when you make a dance that's hard enough, or not even hard enough, but just like when you make when you make a dance that's like a choreography dance.
Yeah.
That's not about like, oh, I need the DC.
I need to do a trend.
Yeah, or I need to add all these moves in order to trend.
Yeah.
You know, it's like for me, you don't expect people to resonate with it. You know, and for some weird like the first piece I did. That like I guess a lot of people started doing was because I was gonna teach it internationally, so I don't expect like it's like unless like I don't even do I don't know. Yes, I own TikTok, but that's the result of pure boredom when you live in New Mexico by yourself and one of your best friends doesn't visit you.
And we're ending.
Whoa!
I was going to the first time.
I know you were that surprised me.
I was gonna drive back. And then your dad went. No, like.
Oh, to drive back.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
it was
right,
for your
right,
birthday,
right,
and I
right,
remember
right,
messaging your mom, and I was like, so like, and then she was
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah,
Joey's going out there and the car, and I was like, dang it, but it was gonna be so good.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Anyway.
Didn't happen, but that's what it is.
Hey.
It's
not my fault.
Follow my TikTok. Use it 25764347829.
Work pie.
That's not the numbers.
What if it was?
That would be crazy, actually. If I like, people are like, they're like reading, and they're like, no, I really don't know what it is. You won't find it. But thank you for having me.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I'm glad, like I said, I'll say it again. I'm glad you're carrying the fire with this and making it a reality. And people get the chance to see the human side of you, and just don't forget, and I'll tell you this again and all the time, but you are a prime example of what hope can be, and a lot of people still need that. Like, you are someone who is clearly carrying the light of hope, because people can be hopeful and people can be like, oh, I'm hopeful, or I share hope, or but like you symbolize what it means to find light in yourself, and once you have enough light for yourself, you can share that light with other people. And sometimes people forget that, even people like us, whether if those creators or if they're artists, we forget to fill our own tank before we share it to others. I do that all the time, and so see your tank generously full. It's refreshing, and it's a good reminder, and just remember that for yourself, because if you question whether if you're doing good or not, it's like, if it's enough for you, then it's enough for everyone else. So
Well, thank you.
yeah.
And obviously the same goes for you as well. Yes, because I tell you all the time, like, you seriously are like one of the most inspirational people, and like to see what you have been able to do ever since you were younger, like, it inspires me to do things and go after things that, like, again, scare me, or I feel like, oh, people won't like this, but you truly take anything that you do and you make it great, and it's only great because you are just as incredible as a human being as you are an artist. And so anything that you do, you put yourself into it, and that's what makes it so special, and people are drawn to it, and they're going to keep being drawn to it for years and years to come. And you have so much love and passion for the things that you do and the people that you surround yourself with, and that's just one of the most inspirational things, and it makes me want to strive to be that type of person as well. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just being we.
I guess we gotta end it right there.
I'm just with blackout after I see just.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What can I say? I'm just being we.
Zoom in.
Oh, is it right? I'm sorry. You know, what can I say? I'm just being we.
Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you next.
Whoa! You're just getting outro. Oh, I paused because I thought you black out. I wouldn't have paused if you. Oh, you have. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well.
No, I was just gonna say thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.
You
And
know.
that's where it ends.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. 91.8% of you that watch this video are not subscribed, so hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And be sure to follow me on social media. Link in the description down below. My Instagram is right here, Wortho. But this video was very informative. You were able to get into the lives of Sean and Casey, understand them more as individuals, not just as dancers, but understand them as individuals. Like Sean said, there's a person behind the username. So yeah man, I really enjoyed this video. Hopefully everybody was able to enjoy this video as well. If you did, hit that like button as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your boy Wortho. I'm out. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. For real. See y'all soon.